in 40 years, still to be found at the top on a regional, provincial, national and international level. Yearly on several podium, provincial victories, 6 national victories, enough trophies to fill up an entire hall, and yet still the urge to win. This is only given to the very best, the most talented, the pigeon whisperers, the master breeders. And such a family lives in Snellegem, namely Diane and Marc Pollin and their son Geert. They succeed already for several years now to be permanent at the top, and this from 200 kilometers to 900 kilometers, a true all-round loft. Snellegem, a partial village from Quebec. When you are standing at the house of Marc, you can see the church of Snellegem in the distance, and when you turn around you can also see the one from Quebec. You can't find an environment more Flemish as here. Nevertheless, this village is at only 10 kilometers as the crows fly from the northern sea. In other words, not a good position at all in comparison with the rest of the country to compete the national races. Pigeon history. The first big milestone in the history of the loft was the acquisition of the de Vouillout, a pigeon that raced super for Vondelink de la Loue from Beerst. This was still before the time of pedigrees, but these pigeons would come from the old strain Van He in combination with Florizelaun. In the 80s, they got successes with direct children, next with grandchildren. When we would go back far enough in the current pedigrees of the pigeons, we would certainly find him back. End of the 80s, a second wave of base pigeons came to the loft. Pigeons with results who proved themselves after their racing career on the breeding loft. A few examples: de Perpignan, first international Perpignan; de Montauban, top results on national races; de Klein Poitiers, phenomenal Poitiers racer; de Barcelona, 10th national Barcelona. These pigeons were the founders of the new generation. A new generation based on the former pigeons manifested at the beginning of the new century. Top pigeons such as Mortefer, Olympiad pigeon; Dortmund extreme long distance, Dortmunder, Olympiad pigeon long distance; Nye, super breeder, Limoges, first national Limoges yearling. Combinations out of these top pigeons were and still are the pigeons that set the results at the moment. The newest generation exists out of national winners 2015. Grandchildren to New Belgian Pride, Joe, Bruce, and Montauban too are part of the racing team. Marc Pollin is the captain of the ship, although a lot, not to say everything, is being talked about in tandem. Marc stays the patriarch of the loft. Opinions and thoughts can differ, but Marc takes the decisive decisions on and around the loft. Geert work together a lot as a family, but his main job is more the paperwork. Certainly not to forget our Diana, Marc's wife, and Samrin, Geert's wife, who are in for all the practical work and support. Throughout the years they grew as a real solid team. The toppers. Mortefer, BE3 321-41 was Olympiad bird in the category Marathon in Dortmund in 2009. He won a lot of prizes with, amongst other, 2nd Montauban against 5,438 birds, 9th Limoges against 6,617 birds, 20th Limoges against 12,266 birds, 26th Iron against 5,252 birds, 57th Tarbes against 4,460 birds, 58th Perpignan against 5,547 birds, and 91st Brive against 9,446 birds. His father was a good racer on the international races and a grandson of the Perpignan, first international Perpignan 1994. His mother was a great-granddaughter from this Perpignan. As already mentioned, you will also find names as Boudewijn Jonker, Roger Vreek, Jan Thielen and Noël Lippens in his pedigree. The second foundation pigeon is Dortmunder, BE4 331-54, and was Olympiad bird long distance in Dortmund 2009. He won AO, first Poitiers against 397 birds, first Poitiers against 185 birds, fourth Argentin against 397 birds, fifth Nantes against 747 birds, 7th Poitiers against 1,443 birds, and 13th Poitiers against 1,687 birds. He became father of AO. Second national Tulle against 6,817 birds. The third foundation pigeon is Nye, BE4 33112, and was a regular racer on the long-distance and extreme long-distance races, but really made a difference as breeder. He is father and grandfather of many first-prize racers. The father of Nye is a grandson of Montauban, one of the foundation breeders from the 90s, coupled with the strain of GND Devout and Taviran Rigel. The mother of Nye is from Budiwi and Jonker. The children out of these three basic pigeons are all represented in the breeding loft. As Marc and Geert mostly race cocks, they don't have much need for cocks with good results on their breeding loft, and is the reinforcement on the breeding loft mainly done with hens. Successful reinforcements came from Marc and Gerard Santenz, a co-breeding with Sedna, first international Narbonne from Joe's Phone, pigeons from Fernand and Carol Dendweaver from Ichtigam, and good breeding hens from Budiwi and Jonker from Torha. BE 14 300 27005, Montauban 2, son of Josk, who is a son Mordufer cross Sedna I, Joe's Phone, first international Narbonne 2005, son of a full sister Nye. In 2014, he won 11th Fontenay against 429 birds, 18th Fontenay against 433 birds, 51st Fontenay against 495 birds, and more. In 2015, he won first National Montauban against 2,214 birds, second Claremont against 328 birds, 15th Fontenay against 193 birds, 20th Provincial Chateaudun against 4,072 birds, and more. Bruce, BE 13 300 160 47, son of 35th National Leborn, who is a grandson Nye, and a grandson Mordufer, son of a full sister Joe, a first National Leborn. In 2013, he won 48th Claremont against 151 birds, 51st Claremont against 510 birds, 312th Provincial Argentin against 3,235 birds, and more. In 2014, he won 157th Provincial Tours against 2,964 birds, 412th National Poitiers against 14,094 birds, 754th National Brive against 3,850 birds, and 1,200 National Argentin against 9,970 birds. In 2015, he won first National St. Vincent against 3,037 birds, 20th Claremont against 505 birds, and more. Brutus, BE 16 300 250 288. This strong pigeon ended last season as 4th National Ace Bird Extreme Long Distance KBDB 2019, and 15th National Ace Bird KBDB Extreme Long Distance 2020. This cock from 2016 and a full brother to Montauban II, a national winner in Montauban, is candidate Olympiad Pigeon 2022, and this in the category of the extreme long distance, and is an exponent of the strong breeding loft they possess. A confirmation of the strength of this pigeon colony, and also the proof that they let them cross in successfully with other strains. Year after year having top rankings on local, provincial, national and international level without many hiccups can only be done when you have an incredible strong base in your breeding loft, and this is the case for sure in Snelligem at Marc, Diane and Geert. Thank you for watching. Until next time.